Okay. Hello, Lisamarie. How are you?
Right? Fantastic. Top of the world.
Good. Good.
Great
You're
to
always
do, my
happy. You're
dear.
always top of the world. So that makes me happy.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's
I am.
good. That's good. So today we're going to talk about your chapter in the book, The Ways to God. And let's just see where the conversation takes us.
The one I'm still adding information on.
You
So
know,
I'm going to do a whole Google Doc of extra stuff and I will discuss with the editor of how many there's a lot of healing stories that I have in my chapter. Because I'm thinking about all the STEs, the spiritually transformative
yeah.
experiences that I really don't want people to miss
Yeah.
out on. So I'm trying to, and I think the editor could probably help me with what are the most important ones or the most that people would want to read or know about. So to me, they're all important. They're all signs from God, signs from the afterlife, signs from your loved ones.
Yes.
I've just had
Yes.
so many. So, especially when I started meditating back in my late 20s, things really opened up spiritually for me and nature followed me. And at the same time, that's when I started the Ayurveda
Yeah.
and went to that first Ayurvedic clinic that really changed my life. So, and that'll be that next book we talked about. Perfect health and balance in the
Yeah.
future, in the near future. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That is so wonderful. And it's okay, if you want to keep adding stories, if you want to eat, because ultimately, you don't know what is going to help someone. They might read something from a thing that you think, oh, this is not important. And then it might mean something to someone. Like even one person finding healing or comfort or inspiration or something is worth this, it's worth it being there.
And that's exactly
Yeah.
what I'm thinking about. And the conclusion of, how do we navigate? How do we connect to source? That's what my chapter partly is about. How do we connect to God directly, direct link to God, not really needing a guru because we are what I found out in my NDEs that happened on Easter weekend 2017. What I found out is we're all powerful. Yeah, it's my anniversary. We're all powerful spiritual beings having a human experience and we can manifest. I manifest things for other people with my thoughts and my gratitude and my love. And love is the religion on the other side. It's not the division that we have here on earth. And I guess all this is happening because it's supposed to. We come here to learn lessons. I was told by Jesus I came here to learn compassion and to get to the level that I have now to be able to work with my patients and understand, really truly understand what they're going through, to be able to help them, with certain therapies and, the healing energy, shifting the energy of the body to help their own bodies heal
Yes.
themselves.
Yes.
It's truly remarkable. And everybody that comes through my doors, it's divine intervention.
Wow.
And
And
that's
it
what
is
I love
so,
about
it
it.
is so because it is just so perfect. It is just so perfect. And I love what you said about how do we connect to source directly? Because when I was growing up, I always felt this disconnect because I needed to go through someone, through a church, through a spiritual teacher or a leader or a guru or this or that. And then in doing so, you feel not good enough. So I'm not good enough to speak to God directly or connect directly. So I won't be good enough until I'm at that level of the guru or of the this or of the that. But how do I get there without God's guidance? It's like that paradox that keeps you in a loop of not feeling good enough, you know?
Right. And I was, believe it or not, a passive child. And I didn't have a great childhood, but I worked through that at an early age when I was probably started when I was about 20 years old, where, I was out on my own at 16. And I was ready at a very young age at 13 to leave and go out on my own. So my journey has been interesting. And I wouldn't have had it any other way,
Mm.
because I wouldn't be the person I am today. But there was one thing that I taught myself, and that was assertiveness, because I wanted to be nice, but I didn't want to not say something and then later on get a stomach ache and say, why didn't I speak up? And it's hard when you're younger to talk to older people. There's that power differential, and you don't realize that we're all equal. In my NDEs, that's, we're all equal. It doesn't matter who you are or what status you have or what job you have. We're all equally powerful spiritual beings. People just don't know that until they leave this earth and leave their bodies. So I taught myself how to be assertive and diplomatic, myself, and that was the most powerful thing I could have done. And I teach people that now. I teach children and I teach adults how to talk to their difficult parents, in a nice way. Hey, Ma, I'm on your side.
Yeah.
When they're being so difficult, I'm on your side. So what can they say to that?
Yeah.
And they're saying it in a supportive way, and without any type of fire and controversy, or what I'm saying. So
Yes.
you know um I probably should, I don't know if I mentioned it in the chapter. I might have, I don't remember. But those things and the meditation really connects you, because you're in the meditation, you're in your higher self, which is your soul, which that's where your power is, that's where your love is, that's where your enlightenment is, that's where your peace is. So whenever, if I say it more in layman's terms, I say to my patients, go, that gut feeling. Everybody can relate to the gut feeling, right?
Yes.
That gut feeling is your higher self, your
Yes.
soul, which is much smarter than your body, ego, all those negative emotions, all the childhood thoughts, and going backwards into the past. We're not in the past. We are here in the now. And that's where you want to stay, so that you can make clearer decisions for yourself and your unit, the people around you. And you want to attack, I'm constantly bombarded because I'm living a life in service. So I'm constantly being challenged with, I think now I'm realizing there has to be a yin and yang in the universe, the bad for the good, the really good stuff to happen.
Yeah.
And how do we navigate that, right, Amira? How do we navigate it? By being the calmest we can be. How do we achieve that? I have a lot of clients that have anxiety that can't sit still. I can't meditate. I can't sit still for 2 minutes. Well, I have that Shirodara treatment I told you about, the Ayurvedic treatment. That goes into the third eye, spiritual center, the pineal gland, to activate raising consciousness. It activates, the pineal gland is activated. So when you do that, it balances cortisol. And we all know about cortisol, right? The stress hormone. And this treatment balances cortisol, and it brings you down 3 notches, 4 notches, depending on how many you do. Some people just need one treatment. Then they're at the point where now I can sit still and start meditating. So that's my one little trick. And then once you start the meditation, that's another thing. It starts working pretty quickly, the meditation. And then you could be more in the now, where you're detached from, you can think, and that treatment detaches you from the negative emotions that are disturbing you. So you can think of your childhood, the thought can come through, but you're detached from it. In other words, it's not going to make you feel sad, mad,
Mm.
resentful, or anything. And that's where the healing begins. But the other secret is the positive mindset, the mindset. And we're the only ones that have control over that mindset. We can't get it from anybody else. Nobody else can teach you that but yourself. Because, like I said, we have that direct link. We're a part of God, we're a piece of God. So that's all you need to know.
Yeah. I have a
And as
question.
long,
Sorry,
go
I didn't
ahead.
mean to cut you off. I have a question about the meditation and what type of meditation did you do when you were just starting out all those years ago? Did you do guided meditation or what kind of meditation did you do and how did it evolve until now? What do you do now?
Oh, well, I've never changed because I was drawn to TM,
Mhm.
Transcendental Meditation. And
Mhm.
after you have to do the beginner one, the 20-minute mantra for, I think it was at least a year and a half or 2 years before you could do the advanced one, which I was intrigued with. So I then went to the Advanced Cities program, which takes a total of, it's 20 minutes of for the same mantra, and then it's 18 sutras after that, then a little then there's the flying part and the levitation part. So that's the advanced TM, and I highly recommend that. And through all my travels around the world, for me, this is just my experience. I'm not trying to make any statements here, but those people seem to be the calmest of all the meditators that I've come across, where they were really a high vibration. And I stuck with it. I stuck with it twice a day. Takes me close to an hour, but it's so worth it.
Mhm.
It makes life so much easier, and you don't overreact to things. You're just in that relaxed state all the time. After you do it for so long, it just stays with you. So you don't get so alarmed when things come up.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're constantly bombarded with stuff.
Yeah. With life.
Stuff with just life itself, never mind all the added
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. And I peeked a little bit at your chapter, and I know that you named your chapter, We Are Spiritual Beings Having a Human Experience. And I remember the first time I had that realization, few quite a while now, some years ago now. But when I was figuring all this out and trying to understand, well, where do we all fit in and why would God bother with tiny little humans? Like, are we ants? Like God, like ants are to us, like we just see them and they doing their thing and it's whatever. Like, is that the relationship? Like, I was trying to figure all this out. And I heard it somewhere or I read it somewhere or whatever, but somebody said we are spiritual beings having a human experience and not humans having a spiritual experience. It's not the spiritual part, is not the profoundness. It's the fact that we are human. That's the profoundness, because it's just for a temporary short amount of time. And then we're going to go back and be like, oh, that was a cool experience. Maybe I'll do it again or whatever. And I
And
couldn't get it at first. What does that mean? How? How? And why? Like the question is so small, but it's so big.
it's a big question. And you will hear a lot of NDEers on podcasts saying, some of them say, we are God. And everybody goes crazy when they hear that. But after my experiences, I can see why they say that. I don't go around saying that, but because I felt the magnitude of the creator in such a big way, and I felt a part of that. I'm not sure if I was God, what I'm saying? So I can't go around saying that, but I do know that my soul, which could be another controversial thing. You'd really have to have the experience to really understand what we're talking about. My soul form, not now, was just as powerful as the divine beings that were with me. And I was assisting, my higher self was assisting in my own healing of this body right here.
Yeah.
So, and I was speaking in another language. I can't tell you what it was. I don't know if it was Aramaic. I don't know if it was Hebrew. It was very fluent, and I knew that I was praying. I was praying in that language because this healing was going on, and then all these angels were in tandem. They weren't singing. They were just. It's like they were praying together, and they were saying, "This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." So I'm thinking at the same time as all this is going on, are they talking about God? Are they talking about Jesus as the Lord? Because I felt like we had to get permission for this healing and what I was being told, that I was being shown my future, which is all coming true right now. In hindsight, back then when it all happened, I knew that that was the truth, but to see it all unfolding slowly in Earth time, it is really, I'm in these awe moments of it just comes over me. The divine Holy Spirit vibe just comes over me when I know I'm in these moments of my purpose. It's so beautiful. I just did a wedding on Friday night. It was epic. It was all love and so exciting. And I'm there and I'm grateful, and it was so windy. The ceremony part was outside and it was so windy, and I prayed to Archangel Michael and I said, God, please stop this wind, because my papers were in a binder, but they were, I couldn't hold them down enough, and that wind stopped to a stillness, total stillness. Was beautiful. When you believe, all you have to do is believe. The faith is a big word, but faith is just believing that there's something more beyond our existence here.
Yeah, I want to say more than believe, it's a knowing. Because even if you
It's a,
believe something, it's not as good as knowing it.
it's a definite, it is the knowing. Not everybody knows what the knowing is.
Yeah. Unless
I've
you know it.
accidentally,
If you know it, then you know it. Like you've had that near-death experience, which in my opinion is
yeah,
one of the most ultimate spiritual experiences you can have to know. Because no one can convince you that it was just a dream, or it was just, some chemical imbalances in your mind or brain or whatever. Like that it wasn't.
yeah, for a fact, but it's the experience. I was so glad that I had meditated for so many years, because the experience was a very spiritual one, a highly divine spiritual one. So I was prepared in a lot of ways. And I think, a lot of people, this is no joke. This NDE stuff is no joke, and it could really mess you up. I know I am very changed by my experiences. And those 2 nights, I'm very changed by that. And I was changed for 14 days after that. And I explained that in this chapter, how I was 100% enlightened. I was still not totally integrated in my body for 14 days. And I was seeing all these clear visions, like my third eye was totally open. So I was seeing these clear video clips of my future, of downloads for my friends, messages for clients, and reasons why I had to continue on, reasons, I really am so glad I was shown my future. But, I just saw one moment in time, right? I saw a moment of speaking to people, right? But they didn't show me all the things that led up to that day, and I'm still not at that day.
Mm.
So there's been so many things that have transpired until now, till today, to get to that moment in time.
Yeah.
I didn't even understand some of the words I was saying because I hadn't learned them yet.
Yeah.
How cool is that? Yeah.
Maybe,
It's an otherworldly experience.
maybe
You're
that's
in another
also
realm.
part of the why. The why could also be a little part of it is we choose to have this human experience because we want to experience the process of seeing things happen in human time. Because in I can just imagine that in spirit it's instant, you want this experience, it's instant. So there's no process of, I don't know, I'm just assuming, but that's part of the excitement of watching something become, is having that this is happening now, and then this happens after, and then this happens, and then there's a process, and it's slow.
It's real process. It's really slow, especially if you're someone that sees things ahead of time and now you're waiting and waiting and waiting. And there's this divine timing because there is. God even told me, and like I said, I don't even say the word God too much anymore because to me, like there's this book out called God is Bigger Than the Bible, and totally, because and people don't realize until they get that reward of dying, you really just really start living. It's so euphorically blissful and peaceful and all love. God is love. There is no judgment whatsoever. We judge ourselves. We watch, the video clip of our lives and what happened and how maybe I could have done something differently, but there's no judgment. And that's what everybody's afraid of.
Yeah, yeah,
Even when, God was this omnipresent, they call it omniscience, knows all. No, he knew what I was thinking, knew what my purpose was, knew why I was here, why I had to be here, what I chose before I got here,
yeah,
you know, to go through, to
yeah,
go through. So, and all these things are, it's a lot of drama.
yeah,
But compared to who you are in a soul form where everything is perfect and lovely,
yeah,
I remember when I left my body, I was in gratitude immediately. And the weight of the world just fell off me. And my lifetime went like that. It was that fast. It really didn't mean much once I had left my body.
mm,
Leaving the body is a very natural process. It was so easy. I just slipped right out, like from here up.
wow,
It was so easy, like it was so natural. And but I was in instant gratitude of all the suffering. And even if I hadn't gone through anything, being in a body is suffering. And I realized that when I went back in the body, it was like that I dream of Genie bottle with that skinny neck, and I went
mm,
back like that. And because I was expanded consciousness, the spirit is so huge, like expanded was bigger than the room I was in. So that expanded consciousness, it now has to be fit into this tight, heavy, dark, limited body. And like I said, you don't know that until you leave it, and your light is air. Light as air is beautiful. And we speak telepathically. So it's just thought to thought. And it's so easy. This talking thing is work.
yeah,
This is work.
yeah.
I don't even talk as much as I used to after that experience. It really
Gosh.
it changes you. I talk to you a lot because we're speaking the same language. When this topic is just all I want to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I know exactly what you mean. And when I started awakening, I lost a lot of friends because I couldn't speak to them anymore. I couldn't have conversations with them anymore. The things they were speaking
You
about
don't
were so meaningless and surface level. I was like, I want to talk about the meaning of life. I want to talk about where we go when we die. I want to talk about what it means to be alive. I want to talk about what the breath means. I want to understand what God is like. And they're like, No, like, so I became a hermit and I had to be alone, but I'm so grateful for those experiences because being alone meant more time for me to contemplate and just want to revel in those feelings. And it's like you understand one thing, but you want to know more. And then there's more. There's no end to the expansion. And it's like, what is beyond that? And then you start discovering NDEs and STEs, and then you want to astral travel. It's like there is no end, and I have not enough time, it's just wow.
You have went within. That's what you did. You went within, and that's where you have to go to get that connection to God. Because we are a part of God, and if we are really God, we want it. That's where the healing is. That's where you can be in peace. That's where you can have that bliss consciousness that I've experienced for so many years. So if you want that, you can have it. It all will come to you. And it all came to me like it did with you with the books back in my 20s. I was talking to you the other day about Many, Many Lives, Many Masters was probably one of my first books that I was drawn to. And I just probably read into it at Barnes and Noble because this is how the divine works.
Yes.
Ayurveda just came to me. I don't even know how. And it was life changing for me. I even had an experience with Buddha. And I was like, well, why did he appear to me? Is it because I'm into the Indian culture? Is it because I'm, was studying Ayurveda? Like, is he my guide right now for whatever so many years? You know what I'm saying? So these are profound experiences. So, and I'm always skeptical even though I've had so much evidence, so, but, even at this wedding the other night, somebody caught a picture of, and this white light came into the picture. It was unbelievable. And you
Wow.
can't deny these experiences. So, it will just come to you. Things come to me on my phone.
Yeah.
Things come to me, signs come to me on Facebook. Something will appear and I go and send it to somebody because I know it's for them.
Yes.
That's how it happens.
Yes.
And I didn't know anything about NDEs or that there were groups on Facebook that were these people had the same experiences that I had, but once you have that experience, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done. You
Yeah.
will never be the same. And you will not resonate with those old people. It's part of the process of the ascension. You're going a different path, and it has to happen. You can't fight it. It has to happen because you're meant to meet your like-minded people that are speaking your language so that you can all co-create this thing that, I know that I'm on a mission for God,
Yeah.
and I don't want anything to interfere with my mission for God and the joy that I want and healing that I want for the people that I come across.
Oh, yeah.
And that is where I'm in my own lane with that. And the distractions, you're going to have distractions all the time on earth. They're everywhere. And right now, at this time on earth, we're meant to be here right now.
Yeah.
We are all strong souls that chose to be here during this very difficult time. I mean, I feel like I'm living in bizarro land, with everything that's going on. I can't even make sense of it, but I'm staying in my lane, meditating, staying in with the connection to source, just concentrating on that to rise above all the low vibration, the negativity of everything that's going on, because people are really wrapped up
Yeah.
in what's going on now. And you want to be supportive with everybody, because it's what I found out in my NDEs was on the other side, we're collective consciousness. We're all in it together.
Mm.
So it's hard to come back from that and have to deal with the division the anger, families choosing, I have to counsel families that are choosing politics over love, arguing about which religion is right. There is no right or wrong because there's a right in all religions. As you know, I studied all the religions. So, and I did that purposely because I wanted to help everyone, not just Christians, not just what I grew up in. I wanted to help everyone. And we're living in, especially United States is a lot more cosmopolitan now. It's everybody's integrated together. It's not just Christian based. So I wanted to be able to help everybody. So,
Yeah.
and then all the religions have something, and I'm going to tell you something very important. Everybody should hear this. And it's in my chapter, so I'm really blowing it with letting chapter. It's every religion, if you think about it, has been started by somebody who had a mystical experience. Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, was enlightened in the Bodhi tree, and Jesus, and when he went for the 41 days and was fasting, they all became enlightened. That was always my goal. You want to achieve that. And when I was out of my body, I said, okay, so the enlightenment that I experienced for all those years is about 50%, can get you to 40, about maybe 45% of the total enlightenment when you're out of your body. And that says a lot. But you got to want that. And maybe it's not for everybody. And you can't expect everybody to be on that path. Everybody is on their own journey, and you have, and in that you can't interfere with. I thought I could heal everybody, but I discovered now that everybody is on their journey and you can't interfere with it. And that means your children too. They're their own person and on their own journey. You had them, but you can only, you got to remember they're their own soul having their own journey. And like I said, these mysticism, I even studied mysticism in my seminary, and of course in miracles. But it all started with somebody who had a mystical experience, right? Like Christianity came way after Jesus. I have a very close relationship with Jesus since I was a child. I was not surprised that he came to heal me, but he is a divine being, like we all are divine beings. He may be at a higher level because there's different levels in heaven. And that's what I experienced. I didn't experience a hell, but I can't say at first I was like, oh, there's no hell. I know, it was just all different levels of ascension and different realms of higher, Jesus and the people that really helped people. They were healers, they were helpers, they came down, they chose to do that for their lifetimes. So, maybe they're at a higher level in heaven. But after my encounters and my experience, who am I to say there's no hell? Because there are a few people that said there was. That was their experience. At this point, if somebody said to me, hey, I saw a human with a zebra head, I'd believe them. I believe because it's such an otherworldly experience. We as humans do not have the words for the experience. Why? Because once I went back into my body, I became limited.
Yeah.
I still get downloads and stuff like that, but not to the extent I was getting it boom, bang, boom when I was just a spirit.
Yeah.
It's a whole different dynamic, and 50 things could happen at once when you're a spirit form and you see all around you. And the senses are there. You feel everything. Like when I was watching my future and watching myself speak, I felt the physical, how I felt physically in that body. And I was stronger and healthier than before I had gotten the Lyme disease. And I couldn't believe it. And of course, they told me all, and I won't say all the divine beings that were with me, that I was going to have 100%, I was going to be 100% healed, and that my blood work would look differently. And, my hair was going to grow back, and all these things that were bothering me and that would not change, that were going on for so many years. And I believed them because I knew what I saw was the divine truth.
Yeah.
And there was no getting around that, and I even quit. The only question I had, because everything made sense to me, except the part where when I was watching myself, I used a few off-colored words. So I said to them, what is up with that? That wasn't like me. And Jesus said, you're too pure. So, after all those years of meditating, good thing my NDE happened later in life, because I don't know if I could live that many years after having an NDE. There's so much that you think about, because all you think about is that experience, and I just can't wait to go home. So, and I said, I understand. And Jesus said to me, you need to be able to relate to the people on earth. I never drank alcohol. I was into the whole natural health thing, really most of my life. And I didn't understand why people had to do these things, or. So he said you need to be able to relate to people on earth, and that, you know, I came here to learn compassion. You can't have a deep level of compassion without going through things and a lot of suffering. And then little by little, all these little things were coming to fruition of why I understood more of how people were trying to resolve their pain, physical pain, because I went through a lot of physical pain and emotional pain,
Yeah.
to try to get through these struggles and the grief of their loved ones dying and losing their children. I mean, this is big,
Mm.
tough stuff that's life changing, changes your life.
Yeah.
And, he also talked about the importance of humor. So those off-colored words made people laugh.
That is so funny. And I think I can see why, from my own perspective, why in the years having the experience is one thing. It's the ultimate thing. But then even just hearing about the experience or reading about it changes you. It changed me. It helped me get through pain, like you said, grief, deep, deep emotional pain. It helped me heal a lot of deep emotional wounds I didn't even know I had. It allowed me to, number one, want a deeper relationship with the divine. And number two, actively work towards it by being in constant prayer all the time. And I'm not praying for things, oh God, give me this, give me that. Just thank you that you created me, that you made me the way I am, that I have the abilities that I have, that I'm a full functioning, alive human being with organs that are working. I'm healthy, I'm happy, my family is healthy and happy. Like, these are things we don't say thank you for enough. And saying that daily changed my life. Like the gratitude aspect you were talking about, it changed my life. I even manifested things out of thin air just by being thankful for what I do have instead of wanting more. And, it's like, I think about what you said earlier. You say a lot of NDEers will say, we are God. And so I imagine it like God. God is everything. God is all that is, right? And now here are each individual avatars, things that God has created. How boring to not experience what the thing is experiencing. So if I was God, I would say, oh, I want to be, I want to see through her eyes. I want to
Yes.
experience life through her experiences and beliefs and whatever. because all of the limitations, we say limitations, and yes, to some extent, it may be perceived as a negative word, but limitations is not negative. The word, we wouldn't be humans without limitation because spirit is infinite, no limitation, everything cool now. But you have to be human so you must have a limitation in order to have a human experience. And now God is having that experience through you, through your specific limitations, because mine is different to yours. My understanding is different to yours, my everything. So my experience and my purpose and my everything is different. And that's why each and every one and thing is perfect, because together it is the collective experience of all that is. That's how I see it.
You're seeing it right. Because that's what it is. That's what it is, Amara. You are seeing it right. And you're lucky enough to be at the young age you are, to know that at your age, because you've got this spiritual maturity and you're speaking this highly intelligent spiritual language at a young age, and you can offer that to your children. So that's beautiful. They're very lucky to have you as their mother, because you're going to be teaching them something that, you know, they're going to use these tools throughout their whole life, and they're going to be better humans because of it. And you're right, because when I was in my spirit form, I was bliss consciousness, and bliss consciousness is euphoric happiness. As soon as I left my body, immediately like this, I turned into love. And it's not a love we have here. Imagine the love for your children times 50,000. You can't. And once you're touched by that love, it stays with you. There's a certain amount of that divine love that you come back with. That's why I do what I do. That's why I'm in service, because I just want to give this love. I want people to feel my love. I want to people to heal through my love for them. And the other thing is the peace. And they always say, oh, the peace that passes all understanding. It's words until you experience it. It's a calm that you have never experienced in your body on earth. You're so calm that you're detached from everything. So, and you could get some of that through meditation. So they're not worrying about you on earth. There is no worry in heaven. None. You're in the now. You're being. There's no time. And you're just feeling those three things. And you'd be like, then people say, well, I want to feel emotions. You are feeling emotions, but you're you. I didn't change my identity. A lot of NDEers will talk about their whole identity was changed. Mine wasn't. I was me, but my best self. I was Lisamarie, my higher self, Lisamarie. But I was without negative emotions. I was in the bliss. I was in the love. I was in the peace, that calmness that is just nothing can touch you. You've done your job. Like, I felt like my job was over. I did my lifetime, and now I was done with that. So I want people to know that have lost their loved ones that we really don't die. We're just really going back home and really, really living. To me, this is, because I've had the experience, is not, you're living at such and maybe you can give me a better word for this, because I need a synonym for this. I feel like I am living a dumbed down experience compared to, it's a limited experience, but I want another word for that because I don't like the way it sounds.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not, it's limited, but it's I don't know the word. I will think of a word and I will message you privately, but I know exactly what you're saying. It's like
You know,
it's like back in the day when we were just cave people and they had a spiritual experience. How would they say that or communicate that or whatever? And then we evolved a little bit, so we got more words, but it's still not enough because this in spirit, it's so big, it's so magnificent, it's so amazing that humans on any level don't have enough vocab to say because the experience is so limited that the words don't exist. So if you are trying to explain something with words that don't exist to describe it, you cannot get to the feeling of what you're trying to say.
And if I start talking about cosmic consciousness, there's a lot of people that are not going to understand what I'm talking about. Because just what you said, I feel like when I went back in my body, which is really not a natural thing, you're just supposed to go out once and that's it, right? Get the reward. And that's why everybody on their deathbed, they have this shocked face and they're like beaming. That's how I was. I was beaming. And that's why you see that look on their face because they have now seen, oh my God, there's an afterlife. We don't die. Oh my God, there is a heaven. But I feel like when I came back into my body, it was hard to integrate my soul with the body. It took a while, a couple of weeks, more than a couple of weeks. So I felt like I was going back in time to a time that I don't know. Like you're saying, cave time, like way back, because over there it's so advanced. Like, I didn't see extraterrestrials, but I have no doubt that there probably is this species somewhere on another planet because it's so evolved. We are so evolved. Our spirits are so evolved. It's the body that's not evolved.
Yeah.
And it's limiting us. That's why you have to work so hard to tap into your spirit and your soul to connect to source. It's a work. And I tell people that first you want to easy way of saying it is you want to start, I mention it in my chapter, you want to start grounding the body. I do that by swimming in the ocean. Swimming in the ocean is my refuge. It's my healer. I get injuries from doing massage and stuff. So I go in the ocean and it heals my injuries. It gives me a lot of physical energy and it raises my spiritual energy at the same time. There's something about that ocean that helps you to connect. So that's one of my things. Another one is hiking in the woods to connect. So there's things that you can do, other than meditation. Some people are just never going to do that. So I love bike riding is one of my things. And some people, they they do crocheting or sewing. It's therapeutic. It's a meditation. It quiets your mind for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
That's what
the
you
key.
want.
Yeah, that's the key, what you said now. Quiet the mind because spirit is there all the time. God is there all the time. He is constantly
Oh,
100% beaming at you all the time. You don't know it because your mind is always busy. And that's what I learned. Just quiet the mind. Don't put pressure on yourself to have any type of experience. Just quiet the mind. And then you will feel, you will see, you will just experience and know and know. And it's so difficult to explain to someone who's a skeptic because they don't want to know. And like you said in the beginning, it's not we're not here to convince or convert anybody to anything. And their
no,
experience is their experience, and we respect it and we love them, and we are unconditionally supportive and loving towards everybody. So everyone's journey is sacred and everyone is exactly where they should be. It's just nice to
exactly.
be a guide for those who are ready for certain messages and to receive them.
Yeah. Some people will not be ready, and that's fine. And like I said, everybody's on their own journey. They're not going to get it because they have not awakened to who they really are. So, you can't, and maybe they have to go through more lifetimes, or I don't know. I don't have all the answers, that's for sure. But you don't never want to force. I never go out, trying to force anybody. The people come to me, or they hear something from a friend, they come to me for something. I'm never my message is hope, because we are living in what feels like a very hopeless world right now. And I think that's why the NDE had to happen to me more towards this time of life
Yeah.
versus 30 years ago, because it was meant to be talked about now, to give the hope during this difficult time that we're all going through.
Yeah.
We're all going through it. But, if everybody knew who they really were, these powerful spiritual beings, and how loving
Yeah.
they are, we would have world peace.
Yeah. For sure.
Because, like I
100%.
said, collective consciousness on this other side. There is no color, there's no different religions, there's no different colors, there's no different, we're all spiritual beings. That's it. And that's
Mm.
why I named the chapter
Yeah.
after that, because that's what I discovered to be the truth of our existence.
Yeah.
So, we have to get through. It's difficult, it's and the other thing is we come here, and this is what was told to me. We make some of these decisions before we get here, who our parents are going to be. And I think that's why a lot of people have a lot of struggles just within the family unit,
Yeah.
because, you know, it's what we chose to go through. It's how you choose to approach the situation. Situations come to me, and I try to shift the energy. And sometimes I'm alarmed at the situations, like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. But then I think about it and I go, I know this is all happening. It's supposed to happen for whatever reason. I trust the plan.
Yeah.
That's my secret. I trust it with all my heart, with all my being.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I know. I don't know about anything else. I just know that I trust the plan, because I know God is real and there is a creator that created everything
Yeah.
and knows your heart, knows every thought in your mind, knows why you're here. And you may think everybody's struggling to figure out, what is my purpose? Why am I here? Everybody has a perfect purpose, and everybody has a gift to share. And when I was sick for so many years, I was so disappointed, because I was already helping a lot of people, and I was upset that I was bedridden for a long time. And I was like, what can I offer? But even during those moments, I could cry thinking about this. This stuff is deep. Even during those tough moments, my words, my struggle, what I was going through, I was helping people with my words. Didn't matter if I was bedridden. And that's why I work now with special needs and disabled people and people that are chronically ill. I want them to know that they have something to offer, because everybody around them is learning something from their suffering,
Yeah.
because they're all watching, they're all learning.
Yeah.
And some people that are really struggling are really approaching it with a positive attitude. And that's something to learn from too. It's and I only know, I only saw such a small part of the beyond this existence. And if you listen to the podcast, there's other NDEers that are friends of mine that have walked the golden paths, those golden streets of heaven, have, the river of life, you know, I try to put some Bible verses and some ACIM verses in the chapter to try to, what's going to relate to people that match up with the NDE experience. I'm always researching that. I want to know more. Uh, a friend of mine that died a friend of mine that died of COVID came to me and said, he was all into the UFOs and ETs and stuff. And that was my first question. Is it real? And he would tell me anything, and I know he would. And his answer was, they gave me a long list of things that I can't tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
I
they
believe that. I believe
out and know out, and they're smarter than me.
yeah. Yeah. And I believe that because they know not to interfere too. Because humans,
They can't
we are on
bear.
that journey too. You know, we are on that evolution too. And we need to evolve spiritually by ourselves without their intervention too. So I
Right.
get that. I get that.
Yeah.
And I'm
Be in big
hoping,
trouble.
yeah, and I'm hoping that with this book, whoever it needs to reach, whatever messages is in here, whatever we share in here, because we all know that it's coming through us. It's not just about, things we are writing on a page. It's all divinely there for a reason and a purpose. So my hope is that the evolution that comes from it is all, in God's will, and that it brings peace to someone, that it brings healing, that it removes fear, it removes doubt, it just helps them be the best that they can be. And that's my best hope for humanity and the people that read this book, and for all of us, because what more is there to experience besides unconditional love
Right.
and peace and
Right.
acceptance, you know?
And I'm so thrilled
Yeah.
that you are a part of this book more than just publishing, but you are writing a chapter in this book with us. We have an amazing, I don't know where, and I said this to you before, but I don't know where you got these authors and these people in this book, but they are all spectacular human beings.
Yeah.
They've all had extraordinary experiences to share, to give the hope. We're all in this together. They're incredible, incredible people that you really want to know and
Yeah.
hear their stories. And just the name of the book, when you had told me the name of the book, I knew it resonated right through to my soul. I knew that I was supposed to be a part of this without a doubt. Just the title. I love it. I love the book cover.
Me too.
I love the people that are a part of this book. This book is really something. I'm going to buy a lot of copies and have them for clients at my office or to share these extraordinary stories. They can't wait.
Me
They
too.
can't wait for this to come out.
Me too. I am
And it's going
so excited.
to
I am so excited. And it is out on pre-order, so people can get it on Amazon on the ebook, but the paperback and the hardcover will be available on the 28th of June. And then the audiobook will come a couple months later. So that's exciting.
I'm so excited that everybody's going to be speaking their chapters, and that makes it even more, heartfelt.
Yeah, and it's important for the vibration, literally as well as figuratively, of the words and the resonance in the book and the vibration of the book itself to keep it so sacred and pure. It had to be so, you know.
And I'm thrilled.
Me
I'm
too.
thrilled.
Me too. It was so wonderful seeing you today. I love speaking to you.
All right. Likewise, Amira. I just love you.
I love you too. You're the best. I'm
Thank you
so
so
glad.
much.
Thank you.